Hey, watercolor artists, it's a beautiful day to paint and a beautiful day to paint Rocky Mountain National Park. We went there in late June. It was amazing. Let's get into it. My palette with the colors is linked below. I'm going to talk and refer to some of the colors I'm mixing. We're going to need some sky colors, some cools, greens, blues. We're going to use a little indigo, and we're going to really build up our galaxy sky, the Milky Way, everything. So to start, I'm using a 5x7, 140-pound cold pressed paper. And I have Arch, but you can use anything. I even have found a really good dupe for Arch, and that is Layton Watercolor. This one is a 5x7 single piece, so you can use your watercolors in a block. I'm taping mine down. I am gonna go and wet everything up into the mountains. You guys, this is an easy mountain, little jagged mountain peaks. This is Rocky Mountain. I'm gonna have the back mountains and a couple of front range little things here. And then I did a curving line for some of the far back trees, and then a little tiny octagon tent, and then there'll be a tree here with some reflection. So we want that pretty wet. I'm gonna let it dry just for a second. I'm using this larger brush so I can cover a lot of area. I'm gonna start getting a little bit of a really aqua-y green. So in my watercolor palette passport that's linked below, I have the mixing for it, but basically it's a phthalo plus a little bit of yellow, phthalo blue. So I'm gonna put this in the places where I want it to be. I'm gonna end up leaving this pretty white, and I'll make it go this way. So this way will be the little sort of two parts to the galaxy, and I'm gonna leave sort of that center open. It'll bleed into there. And then a couple places might put this, but I'm not gonna plan on leaving this. I'm gonna cover this, the edges around it. These are the places where I'm gonna leave it. I wanna make sure it bleeds into there and doesn't stay white. Okay, we have that. Now I'm gonna take my phthalo blue, which is a turquoise, and this is a really strong staining color. So I'm gonna put some of that in places, and like, because it's kind of lighter, I'm gonna do that around my middle area. I'm using the side of my brush instead of a point because I don't want points. I want to cover a lot of ground. Guys, we went in late June. Absolutely gorgeous. So many cool things and so many cool hikes. Very crowded in summer though, guys. Okay, see, I'm still on the phthalo, and I'm dropping. I'm still leaving this little area diagonally. It's almost like we're building clouds, right? I mean, we really virtually are, but clouds in the night. And then I'm gonna I'm getting clean water in the tiniest bit of that green, that aqua green, and I'm gonna drag with the clean water down to the mountains here. And so this will be our little gap, little buffer between the mountains and the sky. Okay, let's drop in a little purple. This is Rose of Ultramarine. That's the Daniel Smith color I use. Guys, there's a lot. I have the equivalent colors for Cotman, student grade. Those are fabulous. The paper will make your biggest difference in painting watercolor. But the paint as well, how highly pigmented it is, of course, makes a difference. But student grade Cotman, Daniel Smith, a lot of them will do great things for you. I don't want this too wet right now, guys, because it's gonna really repel a lot of stuff. Some of that's okay, because look, we'll have like a little wider area there, but I don't want a ton. I'm going now and adding a little bit more of my blue color, a little more concentrated in places. And our basic ideas, we're trying to do the outer edges are darkest. But we also don't want to make it super muddy and blended. We want to keep those cool blends going. But remember, guys, I'm avoiding right now, really kind of avoiding. We can do a couple of tiny dots in here, like super light. Look, tiny. just so it's not like completely wide open. And that'll dry kind of light for us. And I use the tip of my brush for that. Okay, now I'm going to start getting a little darker. To get my indigo blue kind of color, I mixed up a really dark, so I had my scarlet, my Pyro Scarlet with, look how dark this is, guys, with my phthalo blue. And it's making, I'll show you on my paper towel, look at that. It's a really, really dark indigo. So let's do this now over here. And I'm gonna leave a couple intentionally spaces there. It's gonna bleed over, but I'm leaving some. And let's wiggle some of that around. Sort of like little circles here and there. But the darkest concentration of this we're gonna have at the edges. And I'm not just rubbing it in everywhere. I'm just leaving some to bleed around. Okay, I'm getting some more of that. Putting it over. Really concentrating it in the corners. And we didn't need a little up here too. Some places where you have some and then you can leave a little white. Like here, don't forget we're leaving this area open. So I'm gonna go around this area. Let's go in and get some more over in this place, over here. And if you need to mix up some more, now's a good time to do it. I'm about to run out. Look, I'm gonna put in a little bit more purple in some places where I'm kind of losing some of the purple. And then get that in. So fun. Okay, a little bit more. I want you guys to drop in a little darker around these edges here. And then I'm also gonna put in a little bit more of my real aqua green. This one isn't there yet at the aqua level, but I've got some here. I'm gonna put that around in my center. And then we're gonna come back. Okay guys, you can see I built up the sides quite a bit with this indigo and stuff. I'm gonna get clean water now and create on purpose some blooms with this number 8. So I don't want a lot, I'm gonna do it over here. I just put clean water and let's sprinkle a little water on top of our sky, just in a little bit. So what this is doing is pushing away the pigment in this area because it's a watery blob. That is, there's a scientific word for you, watery blob, and that's going to create these little whitish areas. We could do that also a little with salt, but I don't want it to look like a rough texture. I just want it to look like there's some stars that are in the way back, and then we'll do the closer ones with some white opaque or bleed through white or gouache, acrylic, gel pen. Okay, I'm gonna let that go. We're gonna let that dry. While we're letting it dry, I'm moving down to my number 8 and I'm going to get straight Payne's Gray in a medium mixture. And I'm gonna do wet on dry for the mountains. And I'm gonna not touch it right now to the sky. I'm just being careful to sort of avoid it. I'm gonna make some jagged peaks and some roundish. This is Rocky Mountain. You guys can do whatever favorite mountain range. Mountains are my happy place, so pretty much any mountains are my happy place. You can now take this and kind of drag it down so that there's not a hard edge there between the two. We're gonna do a little, another foreground layer that's darker, but we're gonna make sure that this has enough pigment. There's not gonna be a hard edge. Now what we're gonna do too, which is good, is while it's kind of wet like this, I'm gonna dry my brush and just take a couple of areas off. I'm gonna put my moon over here. So let's pretend there's some moonlight coming on some of these. Go over here, you can make the little snow tracks that are still there in June. If you go up to the high alpine areas, you still have snow. Okay, so maybe just a few of these little things for snow, just making some, just something different than straight across Payne's Gray. I'm gonna really do that over here. Okay, then for the closer ones, let's get Payne's Gray, tiny bit of Payne's Gray. And I'm gonna add into that a little bit of my phthalo. Oh, this is similar to the sky color. But I'm just gonna do like sort of more rolling here. Okay, then I'm going to wet this and drag this down. I'm going underneath the color that I have, and I'm gonna drag it down a little. I am going to drag this. Now I'm going to add more Payne's Gray to it as we get a little even closer. And that's gonna make a nice bluish gray. Guys, I'm going to avoid this side of the tree right here and a couple of branches. I'm gonna draw that out with my brush. I'm too impatient for, you guys know if you've watched my channel before, I'm a little impatient for masking fluid. I get super excited. So instead of masking fluid, guys, I'm actually drawing, look guys, I'm going to draw like the tops of a couple of evergreen branches, and I'm leaving the bottom of this to sort of be the branch, right? And then I'm going around. Do you see? That seems weird, but that's just, I'm just doing one. What this is gonna be is a reflection. So then I'm gonna avoid my tent, go around that, and a little bit here. And I'm gonna leave this side of the tree a little bit here, and I'm gonna leave this because that'll be a reflection too. Okay, we can go back in now and fill everything else in. I'm literally just getting this everywhere, and we'll add a little bit more to it. Okay, Payne's Gray with your phthalo, get some of that in. I did very wet on dry. So it's really still moving. Don't forget to avoid your tree here. And we're gonna go up here. The tree is gonna be super dark everywhere but that one branch that we left. See, right there is where that branch is gonna go. That's why we left it there. Okay, looking pretty awesome. I've now mixed a sap green with a Payne's Gray, and I'm gonna come this way and make the tree line back here. And I have wet on dry, but I don't want it too wet. It was initially a little bit too wet there. I'm coming in and just, these are just little tiny hints, and I'm just going for like a little curve. This is just, and you guys can do this quick as can be. Grab a couple more colors. You can grab a little darker here and there just to give it some different layers of color. But for the most part, I'm using my brush. I have an 8 on the side, and just getting up to the point to make the points. See, super simple. And then I'm gonna drag that a little bit down here, leave some gaps so that the ground is showing through. Some places, some white can be shown, guys. It's watercolor, and that's the magic of this media. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to do a couple of layers of closer trees, and for that I'm gonna do sap green, my mixture that I had here, and I'm gonna add in a little bit more of the Payne's Gray, a lot more. So this is gonna be leaning mostly gray, like a blue, it's a blue gray, but it's still gonna be a lot darker than our greens were up here. So for these, I'm gonna do these right on top. I'm gonna get up in there. I'm just gonna make a bunch of them. Just striping them up a little bit. And then I'm gonna put the tops on these. This is gonna be a big one here because this is our big tree that's here. And we want it, I'm gonna add even more Payne's Gray and maybe the slightest touch of phthalo blue because I want this really dark. So this mixture is going to be super dark. And I dipped into even more Payne's Gray. Okay, here we go. A little bit more in here. now that we have these, and the ones over here, we're gonna do a little bit more brown just because they're closer. But now that we have these, let's make the hints of the tops of these. I'm just wiggling back and forth to make a couple of hints of evergreen trees, and nothing more fancy than that. Let's do that all the way across. Couple of hints that these have a lot of branches. Some of them you can see through. Let's get this really kind of skinny on the point. I have an 8, but if you want to go down a little bit to get a little smaller, you can. This is almost a little too thick for these. It's working out okay. And remember, we're gonna go to about here and start to get a little bit, I'm going back. Now I'm gonna grab a little more green than brown and start to get these, see, a little bit greener because we're getting towards the campfire. Or the tent. Okay, and I'm gonna put this lighter here, and then we're gonna get lighter green as we go. So let's mix in a little bit of yellow with that green, and also a tiny bit of like a little peach. And we're gonna get that a little light, and then I'm gonna put in a tiny bit of yellow. And I'm gonna grab that with a number 4 because I just want to make these be super obvious. So fun, and we're making it look like they're shining there. Nice, right? Okay, then to that one, let's get a little into that exact mix. Let's put in a little bit of red and a little bit of raw umber. So we're gonna have a little bright sort of reddish, and I'm not sure I love that, but it's okay. It's looking like a tree. Maybe add in a little more yellow. I'm just gonna stripe that right there. That's it. And then darker, let's go with raw umber next to it, and then Payne's gray on the other side. Easy. And drop in Payne's gray over here. Easy. I'm gonna do more raw umber in the middle. We needed to strengthen that a little. Okay, make a little couple of trees, evergreen trees back here. Easy. I'm just going back and forth with my brush. And while I have this darker green, I'm gonna put a couple of little hints up here, inside this one, and inside this one. So that gives them a little bit more of a, and I'm gonna make that like a little bit of a hint of a branch in there. Okay, now, super fun. Let's get, we don't want really bright yellow, but we do want a yellow. So let's get your yellow. In mine I have, okay, now, super fun. Let's get, we don't want really bright yellow, and I'm doing a super light wash over the whole thing. We don't want it totally yellow like it is now. So I'm gonna lift some of that with water in a couple of places, like here, at the top of the door, maybe down here. And then I'm also gonna add to it a little bit of a brown and maybe a little tiny bit of red for orange. So actually I have the same color that I did here for the side of the tree here. Strengthen that in there. I'm gonna use that same in the bottom corner here. And that'll spread up for us a little bit. And then I'm gonna outline the door, bottom of the door, and then stripe in some of I have a line coming down here for like the tent structure, and I'll do it around the bottom. Around your tent with that sort of yellow ochre, so a yellow with a brown, we're gonna glaze, and that's just getting, because this is dry over here, we're just gonna glaze a little bit of light at the bottom of the tent coming out. And if you guys want, you could make, we have a little awning on our tent. You could put that in too. That's just a line that comes, I'm just gonna make a line that comes out. You guys can add it more fancy if you want. I might go over that with a pen when we're done. Okay, the other thing, let's go ahead and darken the front a little bit with some of our Payne's Gray and Green. And then let's carefully go between those branches and behind there and behind the tree. I'm gonna leave a little glow around the tent. Okay, that's pretty much it. If you want to make just a couple of stripes that are darker in there, you can. And under the trees, like a little shadow. I'm gonna do a lot. Whoa, the shadow of the moon is coming that way though, guys. So maybe make them come out this way. It's okay, it's still wet, we can do that. Okay guys, grab your toothbrush. It is time for the stars. Okay guys, here's the fun. Take a toothbrush, an old one. This is not my current. Dip it into water so it's pretty damp. And then I have Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Through White, but you guys could use gouache. You could even use a paintwork for this. But what I like about this is the splattering effect that it does. So I'm gonna take a paper towel and block off everything down here and hold it up here and just get some, look at that, y'all. Okay, here's another fun trick. I have a circle stencil. You can use this for cool bokeh effects and stuff like that. I am going to just use it for a moon. I think I'm gonna put one up here. And then the cool thing about it is that it's the perfect size for it. I'll do like a crescent moon. Perfect. Now while I have this on, I'm gonna start making a couple of our brighter stars. You guys take, I'm gonna put some in the middle of our little galaxy. You guys take your time with this, come back when it's done, and let's show it off. Okay, my favorite part, peeling and revealing. Hopefully you guys love it, and it is getting you fired up to go camping this summer. If you can't get a reservation in a national park, go to a state or local park. So fun. Hope you love it, guys. Have a great one. We are going to finish out National Parks Month next week, and join me there. In the meantime, keep your mojo flowing, and I'll see you in the studio next time.